Have you ever wondered? What keeps a person going when the road is long? The weather is cruel, and no one would blame them for turning back. This is the story of a man who walked not for money, not for fame, but for something far greater. His name was Henry. In the wildlands of Wyoming, where mountains cut the sky and winter shows no mercy, there was a narrow mail route. It stretched 60 miles round trip. 2 mountains stood in the way. A cold river crossed the path. There were no roads for cars, no horses to ride, only footsteps. And for 40 years, Henry walked that path every single day. He was not just a mailman. He was a thread that connected people, a quiet bridge between hearts. He carried letters of love, letters of hope, letters of sorrow. Some envelopes held joy acceptance letters, wedding invitations, news of a new baby. Others carried pain loss, illness, and goodbye. Henry knew every house along the route. He knew who was waiting for a letter and who was afraid to receive one. He knew the young boy who dreamed of becoming a soldier. He knew the girl who checked the mailbox every morning, hoping for a college acceptance. And he never forgot a single name. Because to him, these weren't just deliveries. They were lives. Years passed. Seasons changed. Snowstorms came and went. But Henry never stopped. Until one winter. Everything changed. The storm came without warning. The sky turned gray. The wind screamed like a warning from nature itself. Snow fell harder than anyone had seen in years. The mountains disappeared. The road vanished. Even the strongest men stayed indoors. "Don't go," people told him. "It's too dangerous. You can wait a day." But Henry stood silently, looking at the pile of letters on his table. Then he saw it. One letter, stamped with the mark of the Marine Corps. The name on it made his heart pause. Mary. An old woman who lived beyond the second mountain. Her only son was serving in Iraq. Henry knew what that letter could mean. It could be everything, or it could be the end of everything. He picked it up, and without another word, he put on his coat and stepped into the storm. The snow reached his knees. Every step felt heavier than the last. The wind pushed against him like an invisible wall. Hours passed. 1 hour. 2 hours. 5 hours. Still he walked. His fingers went numb. His face burned with cold. His breath turned into ice in the air. But he didn't stop. Because some journeys are not about comfort. They are about purpose. Success is built in small steps. And that day, every step Henry took was a step against fear. After 8 long hours, he finally reached Mary's house. He could barely feel his hands. His lips had turned purple. His body shook from the cold. He knocked. Or at least, he tried. The door opened slowly. Mary stood there. And for a moment, she didn't recognize him. He looked like a snow-covered statue, a ghost in the storm. Henry reached into his coat and pulled out the letter. It was warm. He had kept it close to his chest the entire journey. Mary took it with trembling hands. She opened it. And then, she cried, not tears of grief, but tears of relief. Her son was alive. He had been injured in combat, but he survived. He was recovering in a hospital in Germany. Alive! That one word changed everything. Mary held the letter to her heart, her shoulders shaking. Then she looked at Henry. Was it worth it? She asked softly. You risked your life just to bring me this letter. Henry rubbed his frozen hands together and smiled. A quiet, simple smile. Ma'am, he said, I didn't deliver a letter. I deliver the news that someone is still alive. And then he added, there is nothing more worth delivering than that. Sometimes the greatest strength is not in power. It is in purpose. Years later, the time came for Henry to retire. 40 years! Thousands of miles. Countless letters. On his final day, something unexpected happened. Along the entire route, every house had a small flag hanging outside. People stood by their doors, waiting, not for a letter, but for him. And at the end of the road, someone else was waiting. A man with a prosthetic leg, leaning on a crutch. It was Mary's son. He stood straight and gave Henry a salute. A soldier's salute. In that moment, the cold mountains, the long roads, the endless years, all of it made sense. Because sometimes, the value of what you do cannot be measured in money. It is measured in lives you touch. The moment you stop chasing money, you start finding meaning. Henry never became famous. He never became rich, but he became something far more powerful. He became someone who mattered. This world still has roads that are hard to walk. There are still messages that need to be delivered. There are still people waiting for hope. And maybe, just maybe, you are the one meant to carry it. Because in the end, some paths must be walked. Some messages must be delivered. And some lives depend on it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Because your support helps us deliver more stories that matter.